Hey guys, welcome back to our channel KnowledgeKeen, and this is another session of React where we are going to learn how to get data from a form. You might be stuck where exactly how you are going to get data from the form elements like input, select, radio buttons, checkboxes, and there are so many different kind of form elements that are there. But this is one of the biggest and most complicated thing that every developer, including me, goes through. If you're learning a new technology, that means you have to go through getting the data from the form, and which is really complicated in many languages except for React. We are learning React. React is absolutely interesting and very easy. There are a few tips and tricks we have in React as well, but it's not difficult to learn. It's not that difficult. And we are going to see how we are exactly going to achieve this, getting and sending the form across, okay, form data across. So how we are going to get something like there is an input box, if there's a username, how we are going to get that from the input box, right? Input type equal to text, we have that HTML, right? How we are going to get that from the text box, how we are going to store it in a variable, as well as if you're storing it in a variable, that means you can do anything with it. So there are multiple ways to do that in React as well. We are going to see pros and cons of both of them. So let's start with this. But before we start, you know what to do. You have to press the like button and the subscribe. Please click on the subscribe button so that it helps me to completely focus on creating more and more interesting videos. And also please mention what exactly you want to learn from these tutorials so that I can continuously improvise myself, so that I can pitch something good to you. So without wasting any time, let's jump into it right away. So React, right? How do we fetch the data in a React form? There are two ways to do that. React always says that there are two ways. Why am I repeating this so many times? Let's say that there are a controlled way of fetching the data and there is an uncontrolled way. Now what is controlled, what is uncontrolled? To make it simple, controlled way is something which is handled by React itself. So React says that the controlled way, I am the controller of this form data. You don't have to worry about it. I know what I'm doing and you trust on me and let me do all the mechanism that is happening in the background, and I will just talk to the DOM, and I'm just the intermediator with you, the developer, and the HTML form. So I am just going to handle and manipulate this data. Uncontrolled way, I am a developer, I am being responsible to handle this whole data manipulation directly to the DOM. So we have learned this in our first video that React has its own kind of a world around that is called as a virtual DOM, which is lying right above our actual DOM. So when you are talking about controlled way, that means you are manipulating the data into this whole virtual DOM. But when you're talking about an uncontrolled way, that means you are being responsible to handle the data directly and manipulating it on the actual DOM itself. So this is the most simplest explanation that you can go through. This might be, there might be another concept to this. This might be a very vague in terms of handling this, understanding this controlled and uncontrolled, but I am 100% sure that this is the most simplest explanation and easiest explanation that you can ever get. Okay, but there are various major concepts behind this controlled and uncontrolled form. I'm just going to share a simple table with the differences. You just pause it, you just read it. These are very simple and easy to understand terminologies. But if you still have any questions around it, just mention in the comment. I'll try to answer them all. But we are not going to go with each explanation, but you just see, pause the screen over here and see the table and try to understand what are these major differences. And let's dive deep on how actually we are going to get the data from the form elements. But before we do that, you know what we are going to do? We are going to create another component. So let's go into our pages. Let's say that fetching data from, or let's say the fetching data.js. So first things first, close. Now create our constant simple function. We are going to see this. I love doing this. This is just simple writing of function. I'm writing this so many times because you have to understand how to create a component, and creating a component in React is the most easiest thing to do, and it's the most powerful thing as well. What am I writing? Function default. Because in most of the other languages, creating a component is tough. You have to handle a lot of things in the background, but in React you don't have to handle anything. Create a component, simply export it, use it. Return. What is return? H1. Fetch data from a form. Save. Refresh. Oops, we have not used it in our app.js. Fetch data. I don't want this fetch event. We import it, we use it, and fetch data from form. Yes. So we have started our component. So now we don't need app.js. We are going to write our code here. So the first thing that we are going to do is simply create a text box. Let me just add a div, and I'll just write everything into this simple div. There is no capital in HTML. Input type equal to simple text. Yep, I have the text box. If you just want to add a placeholder, let me just do that too. Hold for so many mistakes. Enter your name. Yep, we have it. Let me just add. Sorry to do this and additional stuff. I hate doing this. Let me add some additional padding, margin, so that it comes into the center. I don't like it just sticking to the corners. Yeah. So we have enter your name. Now what we want to do is fetch this, whatever I write here. Just I want to fetch it into our function somewhere, into a variable. So to make it controlled. So right now it is uncontrolled. Okay. It is neither controlled, it is neither uncontrolled, because we are just having a simple text box. How can we make this a controlled kind of a text box? Controlled element or controlled component, whatever you want to say. If you just search controlled component in React, you are going to find the same explanation. To make it controlled, we are going to create a local state in React. How to create a local state? We are simply just going to see it right now, but there is a huge explanation that we are going to have in a further videos. Stay tuned, because what I'm going to do right now, it's just a short thing, but it has a major impact into this whole React virtual world. Okay. So to understand how we are declaring and why we are declaring a variable in this particular way. Okay. This explanation I'm not going to give it to you right now. Just understand that this is the way you declare a variable, but we have some further explanation to it, why we do it right this in this way. So to create a variable, there are two things. You have, in like any other object-oriented programming language, you have getters and setters, correct? So this is basically, let's say that I have a name and set name. This is your getter and this is your setter. So getters and setters concept. You can use this variable everywhere, but if you want to update this value of this variable, you have to use the setter. Okay, simple explanation. And React has its own use state. Okay, it is imported. If you see on the line number 1, it is imported from React itself. So use state, let me just add some default value that is an empty string, because I don't want any name in the beginning. So name, let me just do this. This is a getter and this is my setter. So we have getter and setter. Again, getter to get the value of the variable, setter to set the value of the variable. You should understand this, the difference. We are going to see how we are going to set the variable, value of the variable. But for now, to make any element, form element, to make any form elements, this is important. to make any form element controlled, you have to pass two properties. That is, the first one is the value, the name of the variable, and second one is onChange. And onChange is an event. We have seen in a previous video how to handle event. Simply handle the event. I'm just simply writing handle my change or handle my form, whatever you want. It's a name of a function. The name of the function can be anything. And how do we write a function? Let me just make it a bit small. Const simple. Oops. Simple. We have variable name. We declared a variable. We have a function name, and we have a simple input text box with, let's see, is it working? onChange called with 3 L's. Wow. So whenever I'm typing something, my onChange is continuously getting called. Voila. That means everything is in place, everything is working. But now, what exactly you want to do? You want to continuously update this name. If you see, let me just quickly print this name here. Getter, we are using the variable. What did we do? We just simply used this variable because we are getting the value here. Does this work? Let me just refresh it. Let me say knowledge. Can you see? Nothing is happening. onChange called and then it's empty. Let me see. Let me just show it to you what exactly I'm talking about. So now onChange called, there is the name value, and I have just added some lines so that I can show you where exactly I'm printing this name. Refresh. Can you see? There is nothing between these dashed lines and my onChange called. There should be the whatever I'm trying to print, and even if I'm trying to write, you can't see it. Why? Because now my name property that you have added as a value, you can't see. If I want to add a default value, I can definitely do. I can just write my name. You can see the default value, but even if I'm trying to update it, it's not going to happen because it's always going to print the default value, because we are just getting the name. We are using the getters. We are not setting the value of the variable, and all that we are talking is only for controlled components, controlled way of handling this form event. So what we have to do, simple, fetch the data from the event. We have seen this in the previous video. How to do that? Simple event. You write E, you write EVT, you write event, just a meaningful name. And what you can do, setter, okay, update the name of the variable. It's a function, okay, while declaring it's not a function, but actually it's a function because setters are functions. And event.target, what do we get in event.target? Oops, target. Let's try to see this. Console.log event.target, and let me just comment this out. Let's see what exactly we are trying to get. I'll just remove this, refresh. Yes, we are getting the input text box, but we also can fetch .value. Let's see if we can fetch the value exactly what we are writing. I'm trying to write KnowledgeKeen, so KNOW. Can you see? With each key press, you are fetching the exact current value. So how you can fetch the current value? Event.target.value, and this will work with all the form elements. That's wonderful. With input box, selection boxes, check boxes, radio buttons, this event.target.value will work with everything, and that's wonderful. And what we are gonna do, we are gonna simply set this. I'll just comment the above line, and now you can, if I'm trying to write KnowledgeKeen, you can see the value is getting updated. My name variable is getting updated with each keystroke because I'm changing the value of the text box. With each keystroke, you're changing the value, and this is the way you can use the controlled component of your form, the controlled way of getting the data from a form. we just saw a simple example of on click. If you want to see whether exactly we are getting the updated value or no, I'll just write a button for you. This is something additional that we are going to see. Okay, check name. I just write another function, check name. Okay, and we are going to declare this to, let me remove the console so that I can just add everything into the line above. Constant check name, right? So console.log, it's our favorite thing to do. We can just, I just need to print the name. What did we do? We have done nothing which is an out of the world. We just added a button, on click, a function, and so whenever I click this function, it is going to go here, and what it is going to get, it is simply going to print the name of my variable. So value of the variable, that is my this one, getter. So let's see, refresh. I just write something like KnowledgeKeen. I just miss a few things. KnowledgeKeen. See, exact value of my variable, and it is continuously getting updated. So with each button click, my variable value, it is printing the latest value of my variable. Even if I just modify it, it is still getting updated. So this is wonderful, right? This is the simplest way you can handle, and it's very easy, and it works with Material UI as well. So if you're learning Material UI with React, then we are going to see Material UI as well in our future videos, but this works with all the CSS frameworks. Easy, right? So this was the controlled way of handling everything, correct? Now let me simply comment this out, because we are going to see uncontrolled way of doing the same thing. I'll just simply add a return, or let me do one thing. I'll just delete this whole piece of logic, because let's not get confused. Why am I writing two returns? So simple, again, div, I have another input, type equal to text, a very simple text box. Again, we are back to square one. Placeholder, enter name. I'm just adding some different, refresh, and my console is clean, enter name. So now with controlled way, we had to use two properties, that is value and on change, basically the event. And with uncontrolled way, you just have to use one property, that is ref. So we are using the reference. So what is ref? Basically nothing but a reference point to your exactly DOM, reference point to the exact DOM element. So what I'm doing, I'm just binding it tight with the HTML DOM input tag. So my React is tightly bind with the HTML element. But still, again, I'm saying we should try and avoid doing this. So to use this ref property, ref is something which is new, right? It's new for us. So React have added that ref. So to use that, I'm just going to declare a simple variable. Let's say that I declare it something like this, input ref, writing it capital, small, it doesn't matter, but we have use ref. So if you see, use ref is also coming from the default React library. Okay, to use this, what we can do, so let's say that I'll just add a simple button, but before that I am binding my ref to the reference, use reference variable that we created with this input box. So now we binded this whole React input ref to the HTML input tag, and it is tightly binded. So I'll just add on click, again check name, some function, again I'm additionally writing this check name. So how to write a function? Simple, check name, round brackets, fat arrow, curly braces, and console.log to see if it is working. Check if it is working. with some multiple spelling mistakes. Yes, it is working with a wrong spelling. Wow. So now, how to get the value of this? What we can do is simple. You don't have to now, we don't have any event handling, which is basically the synthetic events of React. We are not handling anything. It's simple. Input ref dot current. So the current will give you the current element to which it is targeted. As I said, it is binded, right? Your input ref, the use reference React variable is binded with the HTML input tag. Correct? So now to just fetch the current input, current element to which it is binded, like we did with event.target, the same thing we are doing with input.current. So simply print it. Let's see. I'll just remove this, refresh, and whatever I am writing, I'm just clicking on the check name button, and it will just give me the current element to which it is targeted, to this input ref it targeted. How to get the value of it? Again, simple, current dot value, and it is going to give me the latest. If I'm adding KnowledgeKeen, it is going to give me the latest value. Did you see how easy this was? And handling the data is as easy as it is in React. Okay, we are going to see multiple forms fetching and getting the data with multiple examples in the upcoming videos. We are going to create some different kind of applications where we are having multiple fields in a form, a registration form kind of a thing, something like that. I'll just make a separate video of it so that it doesn't get mixed up with this video and this video doesn't get very big. I'll just make a separate example video for you. But for now, I think this is it. I hope this was easy for you. It was interesting. Controlled, uncontrolled, you got what exactly it is, what you should use while handling the forms. Try avoiding use ref because you're directly manipulating the DOM. Try to use controlled way, and why exactly this difference is because using the controlled way you just handles the value. Let's take an example that you want to add a focus, a default focus to it. How you can do a default focus? So to make it simple, okay, let's say that if I click this, I just want to make the focus active to this text box. So right now it doesn't happen. It's simple empty. But if you want to make something like this, input ref dot current dot focus, refresh. If you click this, you can see now because it is handling the HTML DOM, uncontrolled component have a bigger functionality, right? Because you can add focus, you can do multiple things, you can add a different color, so you can handle multiple things because of the uncontrolled way. But if you're just handling the value, try to do it using controlled way. Okay, I hope this was easy understanding, and if you like this video, again I'm saying please do like the video and please just add your comments in the comment section. Thank you so much.